of course, Marie McDonald, McLaughlin, Lowry from Scotland, most famous, of course, for To Sir with Love, although she had quite a varied career. She acted in To Sir with Love. In 1964, and we'll see this in just a couple of minutes, she had started doing live work in clubs. And let me see if I can pick this one out. I think this is the right one. If not, we'll go back. You know how confused I get at my age.
Her first record is called Shout, and here she is, Lulu.
15 years old.
You know you make me wanna shout, look my hands jumping, look my heart bumping, throw my head back, come on now, don't forget to say you will, yeah, don't forget to shout, yeah, 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 say you will, throw your head back, baby, come on, say you will, throw your head back, woo, come on now, say that you love me, say that you need me, say that you want me, ain't gonna be me, come on now, come on now, come on now, I still remember when you used to be 9 years old, yeah, I always looked for you from the bottom of my soul.
Quite a pretty girl. Girls didn't look like that when I was 15, but that's okay. Actually, she looked like that when I was 15. What can I say? So Lulu toured around with the Hollies. She was one of the first British females to appear behind the Iron Curtain in Poland. And as I mentioned before, she had starred in the movie To Sir with Love with Sidney Poitier, and that was quite successful. That was a very, very good movie. And here she is on stage. You can see the Moody Blues drums back in the background. Obviously they'll be coming on stage after Lulu.
Of telling tales and biting nails are gone, but in my mind I know they will still live on and on. But how do you thank someone who has taken you from crayons to perfume? It isn't easy, but I'll try. If you wanted the sky, I would ride across the sky in letters that would soar 1,000 feet high to serve with love.
She's about 20 years old there. I don't know if you saw the movie, remember the movie, whatever. It was quite good. Sidney Poitier came into this blackboard jungle type environment, if you will, and got through to the kids and was able to teach them a lot about life and things that are going on in the world. The next song we'll hear by Lulu, and I'm playing these not quite as long as I did before. I had some requests to try to get more music in and hear less of each individual song. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, here's a song that Lulu did. And there's a young man playing slide guitar on here by the name of Duane Allman. There's Duane.
I knew a man, Bojangles, and he'd dance for you in worn-out shoes, with silver hair, ragged shirt, and baggy pants. He'd do the old soft shoe. He jumped so high, then he'd lightly touch down. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles dance. I met him in a park in New Orleans. I was down and out. He looked to me to be the eyes of age, and he spoke right out. He talked right out. He talked of life, laughed, slapped his leg a step.
Lily's 21 or 22 there. That was 1969. And she continued touring with various artists and went into the retro touring and all of that mess as time went on. And thus we turn the page on England. Maybe. And we'll look at a number of people here from Motown. There'll be some that'll surprise you. Some you know, some you don't know, but that's been the way things have gone. The Marvelettes were responsible for one of the first #1 singles recorded by a female group, and it was the first by a Motown recording act. And that one, you remember, a number of people did it. The Beatles, some other folks.
Whoa, yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait, yes, wait a minute.
Oh, we got too many here.
Whoa.
Let's try that again. Sorry, my trigger finger gets going too fast sometimes. And maybe we can just hear one of the Marvelettes.
Whoa, yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait, Mr. Postman.
Much better.
Whoa, yeah. Please, Mr. Postman. Whoa, yeah. There must be some word today from my boyfriend who's so far away. Please, Mr. Postman, look and see. Is there a letter for me? I've been standing here waiting, Mr. Postman, so patiently. For just a card, just a letter, saying easy journey on to me, please, Mr. Postman. Oh yeah, please, Mr. Postman. Oh yeah.
Neat group. They had one other song that was a pretty good hit. These kids were from Inkster High School in Inkster, Michigan, and they signed with Motown in 1961. Their other hit, before they got angry and filed suit against Motown, was this song.
Don't mess with Bill. No. Don't mess with Bill. Don't mess with Bill. Say it one more time. Don't mess with Bill. Well, I know the guy with tears in my eyes 1,000 times or more. Over every time he would apologize, I loved him more than before. He would say, hey, girls, keep away. Don't mess with Bill. No. Don't mess with Bill. Don't mess with Bill. Don't mess with Bill.
And both the songs we've heard, Mr. Postman and Don't Mess with Bill, were their most successful, and they sold millions of records, gold singles from both of them. In 2013, the Marvelettes were inducted into the first class of the R&B Hall of Fame in Cleveland. Kim Weston, incredible singer, not as well known as some others unless you were really into R&B. She can rock and roll, I'll tell you what. Some other songs that she did, you may enjoy this one.
One can have a dream, baby. Two can make that dream so real. One can talk about being in love. Two can say how it really feels. One can wish upon a star. Two can make that wish come true, yeah. One can stand alone in the dark. Two can make a light shine through. It takes two, baby. It takes two, baby. Me and you. Just take two. It takes two, baby. It takes two, baby. To make a dream come true.
Now this combination worked out so well for Motown that they decided they would pair up Marvin Gaye with Tammy Terrell. And that, of course, was extremely successful for them. At one point in her career, she worked with Johnny Nash. She was on the Bill Cosby Show. At one point in time, she relocated to Israel, where she worked with young singers there, helping them with their careers. She, like the Marvelettes, in 2013 was inaugurated into the official Rhythm and Blues Music Hall of Fame in Cleveland State University. Martha Reeves, oh, Martha, little girl from Alabama, did a song that got us all patting our feet. course, they were very, very popular in that northern soul genre that we talked about. The northern part of England got into a certain type of R&B, and they began to call it northern soul. Martha had she was singing in a club in the Detroit area, and Mickey Stevenson, who noticed Martha Reeves there at this club, offered her a business card and said, come in for an audition. Well, she got the date screwed up and went in when she wasn't supposed to be there. And she soon became this fellow's secretary and would help acts audition, eventually started doing background singing, and then finally got this group together, the Vandellas, and they did pretty well for themselves. Another song she did. Dancing in the Street. Now that was looked at by some folks as urging the black population, the African American population, to get out and riot. That was generally thought of by the Alabama White Citizens Council or something, but really it was just what it was. It was a call to get out and have fun, enjoy life, enjoy what you're doing. Also, another interesting little tidbit, when Heat Wave came out, it was one word, I think, and they had, or two words, and they had to change that so nobody would get confused with the Irving Berlin song, Heat Wave. So they made it into two words, I guess. You remember Marilyn Monroe singing, they're having a heat wave, a tropical heat wave. You know, very easy to confuse that with Martha and the Vandellas. Right. Dancing in the Street, Wild One, Nowhere to Run, some of their hits. An incredible group. And we'll do one more. Maybe. There we go. Now we'll do one more. We hope. A lot of fun. The group appeared, reappeared, kept going on in rock and roll, hit the shows. The later groups, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas it became, and they would continue entertaining for a while. Mary Wells Mary was the woman who really built Motown in the first 4 or 5 years of its existence. She had so many really good songs, usually composed by Smokey Robinson. The One Who Really Loves You, Two Lovers, You Beat Me to the Punch, and of course, My Guy. She didn't feel like she was being treated well, or as well as she wanted to be treated by Motown, so she left the label and never did quite as well after that. With the songwriting team of Holland Dozier Holland and then Smokey Robinson writing these songs for, that really is what brought her talent across and her voice out. And she never got to that height again. She continued singing the songs that made Motown famous, but she never had another big hit after that.
Nothing you can say can tear me away from my guy. Nothing you could do, 'cause I'm stuck like glue to my guy. I'm sticking to my guy like a stamp to a ladder, like birds of a feather. We stick together, I'm telling you from the start, I can't be torn apart from my guy. Nothing you could do could make me untrue to my God. My God. Nothing you could buy could make me tell a lie to my God. I gave my God my word of honor to be faithful, and I'm gonna, you best be believing I won't be deceiving my God. As a matter of opinion, I think he's tops. My opinion is he's the cream of the crop. As a matter of taste, to be exact, he's my ideal. As a matter of fact.
Ah, yes, sounds like she's talking about me. See, yeah, there's a few smiles there. She grew up very, very poor near Wayne State University in Detroit. And her mom worked as a domestic. Her dad was never around. She had spinal meningitis when she was an infant, partial blindness, deafness in 1 year, temporary paralysis, and at age 10, she contracted tuberculosis. By the time she was 12, she was helping her mama, who was a domestic, doing house cleaning work. And later in her life, she said, day work, they called it. And it was damn cold on hallway linoleum. Misery is Detroit linoleum in January with a half-froze bucket of spick and span. Now, if that isn't misery, I don't know what is. Another song by Mary. Now this, of course, at first was banned by several radio stations, particularly in the South, because here you're talking about having two lovers. And we know that nobody would ever do that. But of course, what she's really talking about is the two sides of her one lover. So he's two people within one person, which so many of us, I'm about 16 people within one person. But there's two sides to everybody, just about.
Well, I got two lovers and I ain't ashamed. Two lovers and I love them both the same. Let me tell you about my first lover. He's sweet and kind and he's mine, oh mine. He treats
Two lovers. Tough situation to be in. When she started with 1962, The One Who Really Loves You, followed it up with You Beat Me to the Punch, and then this third one, Two Lovers. She was really one of the first female solo artists to have 3 consecutive top 10 singles on the Billboard pop chart. We're not talking the R&B chart here, we're talking the pop chart. So quite an entertainer and very well recognized for her talent, except Berry Gordy didn't want to pay her any money. So she left. Here's another song that was quite popular by her.
You beat me to the punch. That time you beat me to the punch. Oh, you beat me to the punch. Oh, after.
Unfortunately, there's too many women who can sing that song and have it completely different meaning to it. In the 90s, Mary Wells brought a suit against Motown for royalties and eventually settled the lawsuit for 6-figure sum. I don't know what exactly those 6 figures were, but Mary died in 1992 at the age of 49. Brenda Holloway, a songwriter, a singer. She co-wrote You Made Me So Very Happy. If you remember the little group called Blood, Sweat, and Tears, made that a very popular song. She also was very much appreciated by the Northern Soul folks in England. This was her first record.
Every little bit hurts. Every little bit hurts. Every night I cry, every night I sigh, every night I wonder why you treat me cold, yet you won't let me go. Every little hurt counts. Every little hurt counts. You say you're coming home, yet you never phone. Leave me all alone. My love is strong for you. I do wrong for you. I can't take this loneliness you've given me. I can't go on giving my life away. Oh, come back to me, darling, you'll see. I can give you all the things that you wanted before.
She was about 2 months shy of 18 when she recorded that. Really an incredible voice. And this is one of the songs she co-wrote.
Treat me so kind. I'm about to blow my mind. You made me so very happy. I'm so glad
Berry Gordy changed a couple of notes in the song, and so he took credit along with Brenda and some other folks. Eventually, in the 90s, she would sue him and would win her case and get some royalties she felt she was owed. She got out of music for a while, about 10 or 15 years, and didn't come back until after Mary Wells died in 1992. So on we go. We've talked about the Andantes a little bit in the past. They were the backup group, just like the Funk Brothers were the musical group, the musicians who backed up almost every Motown record ever recorded. The Andantes were three women who sang backup on the vast majority. They would be there. Sometimes there were other people as well. Now, what I've done here, this is the backup and the string part of I Heard It on the Grapevine. Now, you're not going to hear the vocals, but this is just what the backup has added. I found it kind of interesting, so see what you think.
Took me by surprise, I must say. When I found out yesterday, heard the grapevine. Ooh, baby, I heard the grapevine. Ooh, heard it through the grapevine. Not much longer would you be my baby.
Kind of neat just to hear what was there without all the other stuff. Here's a little piece of the song that you might be more familiar with. You'll never listen to another song without hearing the background music, I'll guarantee it. You know, the 20 feet from stardom concept, the little touches these people add just absolutely complete the song. And they get so little credit. Berry Gordy at one time thought he would let them record some music, and then he thought, you know, some songs on their own. And he thought, what am I, stupid? I'm going to lose my best backup group if I do that. So as a consequence of that, he said, no, I don't think you girls are ready, and just kept them doing backup music their entire career. What a great guy. But you listen to My Guy, Can't Help Myself, Reach Out, Love Child, Grapevine, all of these Motown songs, on many of them that had backup singing. It was the Andantes that were there. The Velvets, gracious, formed in 1961. I can find 3 more buttons I have to push.
Well, I once believed all fellas are nice, but girls, listen to me and take my advice. Girls, you better get yourself on the right track, 'cause finding a good man, girls, is like finding a what I say, girls. Girls, those fellas are so sick and shy.
Interestingly, when the Velvets were there at Motown, the Supremes, excuse me, the Supremes were known as the no-hit Supremes. And because they couldn't get anything to chart, the songs that were being written for them, they didn't put them over. And the Velvets were an up-and-coming group at that time. And it's felt by many that were at Motown at that time that had the Supremes not had their first hit, the Velvets would have gotten much more attention and be much more on our radar than they are now. But the Supremes came through with their first hit, and the Velvets kind of floated away. And then several of the girls left to raise families and do those things, and they just kind of disappeared.
So don't you ever let them catch you looking starry eyed. They'll tell you that the love is true. They'll never fight over you. Now girls, you should know these things right off the bat. 'Cause finding a good man, girls, is like finding a what did I say?
Lead singer certainly a lot prettier than what's her name. Diane.
Tom, don't you think that a lot of it had to do with the fact that Diana Ross had an affair with Berry Gordy as far as promoting the Supremes?
I think that did have a great deal of effect later in the career. She always flirted with Berry Gordy. She had an affair with Smokey Robinson. She had an affair with several of the people there.
Oh,
Yeah,
and she had a child by Berry Gordy too, didn't she?
that's correct. Yeah, she had,
Okay.
I believe it was a little girl. But anyway, yes, she did. And she used everything she could use to get ahead. That was her goal in life. And that's why she was able to be in The Wiz, which was at the time such a miserable hit, and Mahogany wasn't all that great.
Tom,
Yo,
were any of these early, early mid 60s producers decent people? It seems like they all took the musicians.
there were some. There was a comment made, I think, by B.B. King, referring to the Ertegun brothers at Atlantic. They were a better class of thief. So the music business was, as I mentioned several times, Don King, the boxing promoter, wouldn't get in it because the business was too dirty. So, you just take it for that. There were some that were decent people, but the business itself did not lend itself to that. You take Norman Petty, for instance, who was Buddy Holly's producer. He took credit for things he should never have taken credit for on Buddy's records. And he wasn't the only one. There was so many others that did this. But
Does
yeah,
it happen now, or have people wised up?
people are a lot smarter now. But still, you will find the case from time to time. Well, you know, Tom Parker, Colonel Parker with Elvis, 50% of Elvis's income went right there. But today, people are a little wiser, not all the time, but you know, never underestimate the stupidity of people.
So believe me, I don't.
Yeah, so, okay. And we go to one of my favorite groups, the Supremes, Diane Ross.
He gave me the eye when I just passed him by. I treated him unkind, but he didn't seem to mind. I told him be on his way, but not a word did he say. He just stood there kind of cold while I acted cold. When that love light started shining through his eyes, made me realize I should apologize. And he placed a kiss upon my face. Then I knew, oh, then I knew that it was my fault.
Of course, around 1962, Flo Ballard, Mary Wilson, and Diane Ross formed a group they called the Primettes. They were the sister act to the Primes, which Paul Williams and Eddie Kendricks, and the Primes would go on to become part of a group called the Temptations. So these gals formed this group, and they got into Motown. By 1967, Berry Gordy renamed the group the Supremes, but they went without a hit for many, many, many years, as we know. And this was one of the first ones that kind of got noticed in the press and everywhere else. Holland Dozier Holland was really the writing team that got them going the most. We'll listen to another one of what's her name's song. I shouldn't be like that. Oh, wait a minute. We just heard that. I like the togetherness in the group there. It's so good. I guess I'll have to come back next week with another Supreme song, because I flubbed this up. Yeah, but we'll get back to them eventually. How are we doing? Oh, we got a little bit of time left. Sylvia Moy was a Detroit gal who was doing a lot of backup work and background singing. And she was one of the few that was a producer, a songwriter, and a singer. She was far better known for her songwriting and producing efforts than her singing efforts. I may have one of these three songs that has her singing on them, but we'll listen to some of the things that Sylvia Moy was responsible for.
Okay.
Please mute your mic if you haven't at this point in time.
because my heart is true. She said,
You know, prior to this song, Stevie Wonder had done Fingertips, and then he did Fingertips Part 2. But really, even with the phenomenal success of Fingertips 1 and 2, nothing had really gone well out in the world for Stevie Wonder. So Sylvia was responsible for writing this Uptight, Clean Out of Sight, and that made Berry Gordy and Motown, well, Motown was Berry Gordy, keep Stevie Wonder on the payroll. Another song Sylvia was responsible for.
You stole part of mine.
Mute your microphone, please. It's either iPad Air 2 or Carmen who needs to mute the microphone.
memories that go bringing you back again, hurting me more and more. My mistake, show me the love I feel inside. 'Cause these things that pass us by, you got to never knowing if I'm coming out doing what I love you. It's so hard to tell you we want. I love you. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So Sylvia was one of the more successful songwriters at Motown. And again, one of the few that was female. One more song Sylvia wrote, which is kind of fun.
My chérie, amor, lovely as a summer day. My chérie, amor, distant as the Milky Way. My chérie, amor, pretty little one that I adore. You're the only girl my heart beats for. I wish that you were mine.
A lot of talent in that lady. Barbara Randolph, Barbara Ann Sanders, if you will. She was an actress, she was a singer, recorded for Motown in the 60s. A Detroit woman. Let's listen to a little Barbara Randolph. None of her recordings were particularly successful in terms of the chart. She did sing with the Platters for a year, and on one album after Zola Taylor left them. And we talked about Zola, I think, or maybe we will talk about Zola in the future. But she had married Frankie Lyman, Zola had. But another song Barbara did.
Listen, everybody, especially you guys. It's right to be left alone while the one you love's never home. I love too hard, my friends sometimes say, but I believe that a man should be loved that way. But it hurts me so inside to see him treat me so unkind. Somebody, somewhere, tell him it ain't fair. Gotta get a witness. Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness? I'm burning in the morning.
A lot more mix of gospel in that than, or in a lot of the recordings at the time, but certainly Motown avoided that if at all possible. Barbara toured with the Four Tops, Gladys Knight, the Pimps, Hugh Masekela, and was part of the Motown Sound show in 1968. After Tammy Terrell became ill, Barbara took over for her and doing some duets with Marvin Gaye and others. So we're going over to Tammy now. Sad, sad thing. Died in Marvin Gaye's arms, so they say, of a brain tumor.
Not like before. We're together. Not one word do you say. When I speak your name in the sweetest tone, it's just as though I'm all alone. I can't believe you hurt me. No, I can't believe you hurt me. No, I can't believe that you
Another woman who was a victim most of her life. When she was 11, she was raped by 3 boys. She was in an extremely abusive relationship with James Brown. He would beat her savagely, and it's so far beyond what most of us can comprehend. Also, in an extramarital relationship with Dave Ruffin, and Ruffin would hit her in the head with his motorcycle helmet, and so she was just attracted to bad men. But the highlight of her career, outside of that, was probably with this gentleman, Marvin Gaye.
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby.
If you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far.
Don't worry, baby.
Just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough.
To keep me from getting to you, baby. Remember the day I set you free. I told you you could always count on me, darling. From that day on, I made a vow. I'll be there when you want me, some way, somehow. Oh, baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby.
lived 25, 26 years, died of a brain tumor, probably exacerbated by the severe beatings that she had taken by the men she chose to have relations with. Interesting person from Motown, Chris Clark. We'll listen to a little bit of Chris. You probably never have heard of this young lady,
Nope.
but pretty good talent, very interesting choice.
Get yourself a woman who's gonna take your time. Get yourself a woman, 'cause I'm leaving you tonight. Oh, baby, know where you at. Ooh, baby, don't like it like that. Kiss me, baby, that's what you do. Love me, baby, I say love me, baby. Hey, love me, baby, like I love you. Come on, baby. Yeah, come on, baby. Oh, come on, baby. Yeah, come on.
Yes, she is with Motown. Yes, she is white. She became famous in England as the White Negress, a nickname meant as a compliment, because the 6-foot platinum blonde, blue-eyed soul singer toured with fellow Motown artists who were predominantly black. A lot of soul in that voice, a lot of style, a lot of soul. Berry Gordy was very fascinated with her and signed her.
I feel it pounding in my brain. Ice cold water running through my veins. Got a bad taste in my mouth from bitter tears. Heart feeling sad 'cause love's gone bad. I see a rainbow on the black. Must be a sign you ain't coming back. Wake up at night, calling your name.
I see we just a running slight bit over, but the last thing we'll say about Chris Clark, she co-wrote the screenplay for Lady Sings the Blues, the one Diane Ross appeared in. And she was an executive with the Motown film, and also worked on as an assistant on the motion picture Mahogany, which didn't do so well. Sorry to take you so long. I know everybody has a lot to do. Be safe, be well. Thank you for